So what I would do is I would weigh them out in 30-pound batches each. I'll place them in our roaster that goes for about 40 to 45 minutes at about 325 degrees. Once they're done roasting, I'll empty them out on this bed here, where I'm sorting them to ensure that I take out any stones, any sticks, any leaves, any impurities that we don't want to get into the chocolate. It has a suction underneath, and what happens is it sucks the hot air from the actual if you want hot beans in our second process. Alright? So once the beans are cooled, we take it over to our second machine, which is what we refer to as our winnowing machine. And this is actually where the separation of the cocoa nib and the shell is. Watch my cake for me, please. Watch my cake for me in the oven, please. Sorry. Sorry for that. And so what happens is, as I mentioned, this is where the nibs and the shells are actually separated. And the way the machine tells that the nibs, the difference between the nib and the cocoa nib and the shell, is that the shell, which is much lighter than the nib, it bounces. And so those three white tubes that come from the machine, they're vacuums, and so it sucks the shell. And so ultimately what we get is this here, which is cocoa nibs already grounded, already broken into and separated. There are still some shell left inside of it, which is fine. We can't get 100% of the shell out of it. Thank God for technology nowadays, because back then they had to individually crack all of them by hand. Alright? So once we have finished with this process, we take it here to our grinder. This first hole here takes this nib to a fine powder, to the second hole, which is this here, which is a little finer. We'll take that powder into what we refer to as cacao paste, and from the paste now it goes into the third hole, which is even much finer, and to what we call chocolate liqueur. And so this is the purest form of chocolate you're ever going to get. Again, we're lucky that we have machines. Back then they would take stone grinders by hand. They would literally grind those nibs into liquid. Alright? Once we have our chocolate liqueur, we take it over here to our stone grinder. You guys caught me a little too early. I was just about to get this over. But this is actually where we actually make all of our chocolates. So when I refer to this machine, I refer back to, let's say you're having a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. You pour sugar in it, but you don't stir it. It doesn't get sweet because the sugar is not dissolved. So this is what happens with this machine. Those two big stone grinders in there, when the granite bottom causes friction, which ultimately causes heat. And so when we start adding our sugar, our cocoa butter, and our vanilla, this heats the chocolate, and so this refines the chocolate as well too. This process goes on for 48 hours. So before I leave today, I'll have 25 pounds of chocolate in there. So by Monday when I get in, chocolate is ready to be poured out. All right. We do a 70 to 64% dark chocolate here at the factory. We do a 35% to 38% milk chocolate, and then we do 29% white chocolate. However, the 29% in the white chocolate does not refer to when it comes to chocolate, actual cocoa. 29% refers to cocoa butter. White chocolate is not technically chocolate, But because cocoa butter is extracted from chocolate or cocoa beans, we refer to it as white chocolate. Alright? Most of our chocolates, not most, sorry, all of our chocolates, they contain no preservatives, no additives. We're not like a Nestle or a Cadbury. We do not last for 3 to 4 months. Our shelf life is about a month. Refrigerated, if it's not refrigerated, they can last up to 2 weeks. Alright? Right behind you guys is a world map that shows what exactly the cacao production around the world looks like. Here at the factory, we planted some of our beans about a year and a half ago when we first opened on one of the family islands called Andros. And if we are successful with growing our own cocoa beans, we will be the first in the world to actually produce cocoa beans with a hint of coconut inside of it, because they're growing on the coconut trees, because I the same with the coconut trees. And so that would save us less time, but we're also going to start working with beans from Haiti, from the Dominican Republic, and from Costa Rica as well. When you think about Belgium and Swiss chocolate, those regions, they don't actually grow their own beans. But what makes them unique is that they provide, or they purchase beans from all over the world, and it gives them their special blend. Our beans actually are grown on the same farm, or they are provided by the same persons that provide Nestle chocolate with their cocoa beans as well. So, but of course, in another few months, our chocolate will have a different taste because we're going to be working with different blends, and so that's what makes the chocolate really stands out. It's different taste. Alright, so once we're done making our chocolate, we actually store them in our tempering machine. This here is our white chocolate tempering machine. To my right is our dark chocolate tempering machine. And here is where we store our milk chocolate. At the moment, we don't have a tempering machine for our milk chocolate, so which means our milk chocolate specialist, he has to physically temper the chocolate by hand, which means he is constantly whipping air into the chocolate for about 20 minutes. Alright? But with these machines, what happens is the chocolate inside the bowl is 43 degrees, which is about 115 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's a little too hot for us to work with. So in order for us to actually work with the right temperature, the chocolate has to get to a 31 degree temperature, which is about 95 to 98 degrees. At the moment, this machine is not being tempered because we're not doing any production today, but our dark chocolate is tempered. And the reason why we want to temper chocolate, if the chocolate is a little too hot, it will take about an hour to cool, believe it or not. You want to have a good shine to the chocolate, and ultimately you want to have a good snap to the chocolate as well. Alright, the sugar crystals are too spread apart, and so by cooling it, it brings it closer together, and so ultimately when we're ready to work with it, they pop right out. Alright, when we're using our chocolate, we want to work with it anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. If it takes longer time than that to cool, then the chocolate is no longer good. Alright? These are the type of molds that we use. We wash our molds every 6 to 8 weeks, and I always make reference to our molds as if we were using a cast iron skillet. You're never supposed to really wash a cast iron skillet, because every time you use it, in culinary terms, you season it. And that's what happens to chocolate molds. Each time we use our molds, there is some residue of cocoa butter left on the actual mold, and so in the interim, what we do, take cotton swabs, and we just polish these molds. So when you see shiny chocolate, you know that it's been polished really, really well. The molds have been polished really, really well. Alright? Now, you guys get to choose which one you want to try. You want to try the dark? Dark? Dark or go white? Dark? How about dark? You want dark as well? All dark?
Thank you.
Here's the part you can knock out anywhere from 800 to 1,000 bonbons.
going right there.